Beyond burnout, building legacies that nourish. Have you ever noticed how we glorify exhaustion? How we wear our burnout like some twisted badge of honor? I'm so busy. I haven't slept in days. I'm running on fumes. We say these things with a strange mix of complaint and pride, as if our worth is measured by how close we are to collapse, as if the edge of breakdown is where true value lives. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Halima Muhammad, a visionary who's challenging this entire paradigm. Her work has been nothing short of revolutionary, transforming how thousands of underrepresented founders approach success, wealth, and legacy building. Halima doesn't just coach entrepreneurs, she's dismantling entire systems of thought that keep brilliant minds, especially Black women, trapped in cycles of exhaustion and undervaluation. Her unique blend of ancestral wisdom and cutting edge strategy has created a blueprint for building businesses that generate not just profit, but profound well being. What struck me most about our conversation wasn't just her brilliant business acumen, though that was certainly impressive. It was her radical proposition that you are not meant to shrink to fit the world. You're here to create a new one. Let that sink in for a moment. You are not meant to shrink to fit the world. You're here to create a new one. This isn't just inspirational fluff. This is the foundation of a completely different approach to building wealth, impact, and legacy, especially for those who've been told explicitly and implicitly that they should be grateful just to have a seat at the table. Consider Louisa Joe. When I learned about her story through Halima, I was floored. Louisa started her coaching business from absolute zero while still working her 9 to 5. No massive audience, no perfect business idea, no trust fund safety net. As a Black woman entrepreneur, she faced the usual suspects: limited access to capital, virtually no representation in her field, and the kind of bone deep self doubt that comes from repeated setbacks in a system stacked against you. The kind of doubt that whispers, who do you think you are? Every time you dare to dream bigger than your circumstances. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of buying into the hustle harder narrative or waiting for perfect conditions, Louisa focused on proven business strategies. She set goals that terrified her. And this is crucial. She treated every failure not as evidence she should quit, but as valuable data. As a scientist might say, well, that experiment didn't work. What did I learn? What will I try next? Within 11 months, she scaled from zero to $1.1 million in revenue before ever quitting her day job. Let me repeat that: $1.1 million while still employed full time. The conventional wisdom says this shouldn't be possible, especially not for someone without connections, without funding, without the privileges our society typically associates with entrepreneurial success. The conventional wisdom would have us believe that success requires some magical combination of 80-hour work weeks, Ivy League connections, and the kind of financial cushion that lets you take risks without actually risking anything. But Louisa's story illustrates Halima's first critical insight. You already have what it takes within you. The permission you're waiting for, it's not coming from outside. It's already there, waiting for you to claim it. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying very real systemic barriers. It's about refusing to let those barriers define the limits of what's possible. It's about recognizing that the very system telling you to wait until conditions are perfect is designed to ensure those conditions never arrive. Which brings me to Halima's second revolutionary insight. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Struggle isn't your only currency. We've internalized this dangerous idea that success requires suffering, that if we're not exhausted, we're not trying hard enough, that our value comes from our struggle rather than our genius, that the more we sacrifice sleep, health, relationships, joy, the more deserving we are of success. This mindset is particularly insidious for Black women who've been conditioned to believe that working twice as hard for half as much is just the price of admission, that pushing through pain is strength, not self harm, that taking care of ourselves is selfish, not strategic. But what if there's another way? Albert, a first generation immigrant, founded Axe Elite from his attic after facing persistent wage inequity. Despite being paid less for equal work, a familiar story for many, he didn't just work harder within the broken system. He gathered allies around a shared vision to level the playing field through innovation and community empowerment. Today, Axe Elite is one of Connecticut's top telecom agencies with state of the art headquarters and clients nationwide. More importantly, it's become a model for building generational wealth while uplifting marginalized talent. What's fascinating about Albert's approach wasn't that he simply outworked everyone else, it's that he refused to accept the false choice between success and well being. He understood something profound, that sustainable success doesn't come from grinding yourself into dust. It comes from building systems that work for you, not against you, from honoring your limits as much as your ambitions, from recognizing that rest isn't the enemy of productivity, it's the foundation of it. Albert's success wasn't about grinding himself into dust. It was about blending strategy with spirit, about honoring ancestral wisdom while leveraging modern tools, about building systems that create freedom rather than perpetuating burnout. This brings us to Halima's third insight, which honestly blew my mind. AI and automation don't replace your magic, they amplify it. There's so much fear around technology replacing human creativity and connection. But what if we've got it backward? What if these tools are actually the key to reclaiming our humanity? When you automate the systems in your business or career, you free up time and energy for the work only you can do, for the divine assignment that's uniquely yours, for the community impact that technology alone can never achieve. Catherine Gray understood this when she produced Show Her the Money, a groundbreaking documentary spotlighting female investors backing diverse women entrepreneurs. The statistics are sobering. Women founders receive less than 2% of venture capital funding, a stark example of systemic bias. But instead of just highlighting the problem, Catherine launched a grassroots tour across 50 cities to mobilize more women investors. She combined storytelling power with actionable steps toward equity. The result? New investment networks focused on closing gender and racial gaps in entrepreneurship financing. Dozens of investor groups formed. Featured entrepreneurs secured significant funding rounds, all because Catherine used media, a technology to amplify rather than replace human connection. This is what happens when we stop seeing technology as the enemy and start seeing it as a liberation tool. When we automate what drains us so we can amplify what fulfills us. When we use AI not to replace our humanity, but to create more space for it to flourish. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That sounds great for them, but my situation is different. I don't have their advantages. I hear you. And here's where I want to get really honest. The stories I've shared aren't about exceptional people with exceptional circumstances. They're about people who face the same doubts, the same barriers, the same systemic inequities that many of us face, especially Black women. What made them different wasn't their circumstances, it was their refusal to accept the narrative that their circumstances dictated their possibilities. Louisa didn't wait until she had a perfect business plan. Albert didn't wait until the playing field was level. Catherine didn't wait until the venture capital world suddenly became equitable. They started where they were. They used what they had and they built something extraordinary, not despite their challenges, but through them. This is what Halima Muhammad's work is all about. It's about recognizing that the very things society might consider your limitations, your identity, your background, your lived experience are actually your greatest strengths. It's about understanding that your healing isn't just personal, it's revolutionary. That your ambition isn't just about you, it's about creating new possibilities for everyone who comes after you. It's about building businesses and careers that don't just make money, but make meaning, that don't just create wealth, but create legacy. And here's the beautiful truth: this isn't just possible for a select few, it's possible for you right now, exactly as you are. You don't need to wait until you have more credentials, more connections, more capital. You don't need to wait until you've healed every wound or overcome every doubt. You just need to take one step, one small act that honors both your gifts and your limits. Maybe that means automating one task that's been draining your energy. Maybe it means reaching out for support instead of trying to do it all alone. Maybe it means setting a boundary that protects your creativity and well being. Whatever it is, that single step is the beginning of your liberation. It's you declaring that burnout will not be your badge of honor, that struggle will not be your only currency, that you are not meant to shrink to fit the world. You're here to create a new one. So I challenge you today: reject the glorification of exhaustion. Refuse to measure your worth by how close you are to collapse. Stop waiting for permission to prioritize both your ambition and your well being. The world doesn't just need what you can produce, it needs what you can imagine when you're not running on fumes. It needs the innovations you'll create when you're operating from abundance rather than scarcity. It needs the communities you'll build when you're modeling sustainability rather than sacrifice. Your future self is already showing you what's possible. She's not telling you to hustle harder or sacrifice more. She's inviting you to trust your magic, to automate what drains you, to amplify what fulfills you, to build a legacy that nourishes rather than depletes. Because when you refuse to accept burnout as your destiny, when you dare to create success on your own terms, you don't just change your own life. You become living proof that another way is possible. You become the blueprint that others will follow. You become the revolution. And that revolution begins now with you, with the decision to honor both your ambition and your humanity, with the courage to build not just a business, but a legacy that will nourish generations to come. The world is waiting, not for your exhaustion, but for your brilliance, not for your struggle, but for your joy, not for you to fit into the world as it is, but for you to create the world as it should be. What will you create?